Money is easy. It's really, really easy. What's harder, though, is fulfillment.
Yeah.
Money's just a part of the equation. So here's the way it is. You see things better than they are, make them that way. It requires four things, and here, I'll tell you what they are. I'm not going to hold it back. Number one is vision.
Yeah.
The ability to create a clear and compelling vision for the future. And the way you do that is you actually, when you set a goal, you have to step into that goal and start to visualize it. You got to taste it, touch it, feel it, literally, really internalize it. Say, how would this world be? It's not just about when I get to there, then I'll be rich, or I get to there, I'll own a business. What's my world going to be like? How it's going to impact the people that I love? My parents, my children. How much time I'll see. People have a misconception. If I make money, I'll have less time for my family. Bullshit. When you make money, you have more time for your family. You secure the future of your family, future of your grandchildren. When I became wealthy, really wealthy, in the brokerage firm, which I'll get to later, and lost everything, which I did and I deserved to, because I made some fundamental mistakes, which I'll go through too, my parents, who are now 77 and 78 years old, still alive, they became wealthy because of me. And they're still wealthy, and they struggled their entire lives. So when you become wealthy, it's not so much what you can do for yourself, what you can do for other people. That's where their fulfillment and the joy comes into it. So number one is the vision, right? And if you look back at it, if you want any confirmation, look at a Gandhi, right? He survived hunger strikes and united a country, not because he had a goal for a free India. He had a vision of a free India. Nelson Mandela, all those years in jail, a vision.
Yeah.
Richard Branson, who's a friend of mine, who I know he sponsors me, my speaking tour. He's a visionary. Bill Gates, they're all visionaries. And the best example, considering we're in Hollywood, is a guy like James Cameron. Now, here's the trap. James Cameron is probably the greatest visionary of all time in filmmaking. Would you agree?
Yeah,
he was interviewed on Diane Sawyer, and they asked him a question of, what do you owe your success to? And what he said was this: I set really, really high goals. So even if I fall short, I'm still doing great. And people thought that was pretty profound, and I actually believe in that too. It's not true, though. See, what's happening is this. James Cameron is not a goal setter. He's a visionary. He just doesn't realize, because he's running unconscious strategy himself. If I said to James Cameron, was it really just the goals, or do you have a vision for Avatar? He'd say, oh, of course I will. Then he'd get all excited, and he'd tell you how nothing was going to stop him from making this movie. The fact that it took 10 years and ran $200 million over budget, and he put money in himself, that's not what goal setters do. Goal setters will set a goal, gets tough, and they abandon it. And I can't overemphasize that distinction. That's number one, is vision. Second part is the ability to manage your state, the way you feel in the moment, your emotional, your physiological state. And that is the key, bar none, the most important distinction in life. Because what that does, it allows you to access the resources that you have. If you're in an angry, pissed off, negative, unresourceful state, you can't do anything well. You've had one of those days, for instance, where everything you're doing, you're like, I can't believe I said that, I can't believe I did that, I'm such a fool, right? You had that day? We've all had that day.
Yeah.
Next day, similar situation, you're like, wow, that was me. I did a really great job, right? You were perfect. So one day you're brilliant. Next day, same situation, you're brutal. That's not talent. That's not ability. That's the state that you're in. So the key to success is not just, A, to have your vision, but to be able to manage the way you feel in the moment. Now, if you're a parent, what's the most resourceful state? Patience. If you're a businessman looking to make money on Wall Street, it's probably certainty or courage, because fear is the worst emotion of all for being a trader on Wall Street. So every business has different states that you need to master. Now, in most businesses, in matters of wealth, there's three states that you need to master to be able to trigger at a moment's notice. And it's easy to do once you learn how, which is what I teach people, okay? And number one is certainty, to be certain about what you're doing. The second one is clarity. To be clear, not to be overwhelmed, which the opposite would be overwhelmed. And the third is courage, is to have a conviction, to know that you might not be right all the time, but you're not going to let fear stop you. Because if there's one distinction that between the wealthy people of the world and the poor people of the world, is that wealthy people act in the face of fear, while poor people run away from fear.
Agreed.
Okay, so it's state management is number two. And what I do is I have this high impact process that really show people how to manage their state. Not like, oh, I'm going to manage, but I'm talking to a razor's edge.
Yeah.
Not all day long, because it's not about perfectionism, it's about progression.
Yeah.
You get it? You want to be progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
That's the second thing. The third thing is your beliefs. And you mentioned the word beliefs before, and people throw that word around a lot. And it's a buzzword for self-development, but here's the bottom line with beliefs. They act like governors on a car. You brought up a Ferrari, so use a Ferrari. A limiting belief is like putting a governor on the engine of a Ferrari. The Ferrari can go 240 miles an hour. It has 550 horsepower, 4 valves per cylinder, 12 cylinders. But if there's that governor not letting the gas go through, you ain't going over 55.
Yep.
That's what a limiting belief does. It stops you from charging forward when you should and causes you to move back when you shouldn't. And we all have them.
Agreed.
And they started getting inserted in our heads when we're yay big. You know, we were all unstoppable on day one. And then came day two, when our parents started spoon feeding us limiting beliefs. Sometimes, you know, they meant well, they just didn't know, because, you know, one of the things that I'm a big believer is that we were not even given our owner's manual. Our brain's an immensely powerful computer, and this is, you know, known by pretty much everybody in the self-development world. Some of the top people, Dr. Richard Bandler, who I trained with, one of my mentors and a brilliant guy. And the first thing he said to me is, you know, you never got your owner's manual, Jordan, and because of that, you don't realize that the world around you, that you take it as reality. It's really not. It's subjective. The reality I'm looking at is just subjective. I can interpret things how I want. I can have the beliefs that empower me, and I can shed the beliefs that disempower me. So the first thing I do when I meet somebody, I coach really wealthy people, some stars in Hollywood, the first thing I do is go through what their limiting beliefs are.
Yep.
And you got to root them out. And it's not difficult. You can't just root them out. You got to replace them with empowering beliefs, which is typically the opposite belief. Right? Now, what I was doing at my brokerage firm, interestingly enough, getting back to that, is each day at my firm, if you read the book, I gave 2 meetings, the morning meeting and the afternoon meeting.
Yep.
And in the meetings, I was actually running this strategy. I had them visualizing their success. I would talk about the life.
Yep.
Now, the average kid that came to work for me was about as smart as a box of rocks. They were. They're like, you know, none of the kids went to college, okay? They were not the Lucky Sperm Club members. It wasn't the deep end of the gene pool, anything like that at all.
Yep.
These were the forgotten. These are my people, right?
Yep.
They came to me, they thought they'd be working in pizzerias. And the first thing I said to them was this: the moment you walk through this door, everything in the past falls off.
Yep.
You sit behind this desk, you say the words, I teach you, you become as powerful as the most powerful CEO in America. What am I doing? I'm breaking a limiting belief.
Agreed.
You get that? And I didn't know.
And you didn't know that you were doing that at the time.
I didn't know. Yeah. I was just saying, it's like I got riled up myself and I saw all these kids and I wanted to help them.
Yeah.
And I knew what they needed to hear because they grew up in households where they weren't told they were worthy of greatness. They weren't told they had the ability to be successful. Every human being, I can tell you something, I give seminars. I give 2-day seminars, right? And you can't believe the dramatic changes in people in just 2 days. And it's not that I'm a guru. It's like I'm just a guy with a unique set of skills that I've honed over 27 years of doing this. And I know there's these basic trigger mechanisms in people. And when you give them, it empowers them. And then they go off and they run. And they go for it and they realize all of a sudden they're capable of things they never thought they were capable of. And it's to see that, that's what gets me going in my life. And it happened back then with the kids at Stratton.
But see, this was what fascinated me, was like I was reading this book and all of that you said was just resonating with me. I love the morning meetings. I love the success. I loved all of those things. And a little bit about me. I left school when I was 14 years old. I went out and hustled. I washed cars instead of selling ice. I started a company. I was running seminars for teenagers. I got involved with a lot of the seminar presenters, a lot of people that you've worked with. And what happened was I was doing very well, and I was sitting on a private jet with a very wealthy businessman who was doing seminars. And he spoke an incredible game, just like you spoke. And something didn't feel right. There was something there. There was something amiss. And he's now serving time in jail for fraud. And that's where this book for me was like, wow, this is, I was lucky because he fell in front of me. And so I was able to, it was always like all of a sudden he popped up on my shoulder and was like, whenever there was a deal or whenever there was, because when you get into personal development and NLP and all of those things is a lot like a knife. You know, you can use it to like make it, to use it to make a meal.
Listen, NLP and all, listen, Dr. Bandler's a friend of mine. He's fabulous. And what Dr. Bandler did for me, and the reason I went to see Dr. Bandler is very simple. Look, this book, right? It's 535 pages.
Yeah.
I think it's like $16 in the bookstore, maybe $1 cheaper on Amazon. That's a good book, right?
Yeah.
And in this book, in this book, there's a lot of wacky stuff.
Yeah.
Drug use, hookers like you. I'm not proud of that. Just, you know, I made some huge mistakes, and I'll get into those. So that's important too.
Yeah.
Very important. What to avoid to do is not just what to do, what to avoid to do, right? So.
Because someone has to go ahead.
But listen, embedded in this book is the secret for success and failure. It's in here.
Agreed.
Buried within 500. So if
it's an entertaining read.
No, but imagine if I could go in this book and highlight in red all the stuff, just success, blue, fail. How much would that book be worth? A lot of money, right? Probably $50, $100. $1,000 to have the secret to success, right?
Yeah.
That's what the book is. The problem is that sometimes when people read the book, they get so caught up in the story, they don't get the message. Because it's a funny book, because it's my insanity, and now you're one of the people that got the message. So what I
well,
do
no, but I had to put it down and go, like I literally had to put it down and go, I
Yeah.
think I need to join AA, or I think I need to go
overwhelming.
check into
I
drug
get it.
rehab,
I get it.
and I
Listen,
haven't done any of the drugs.
Marty-
Just purely reading it.
Marty Scorsese's directing the movie,
Yeah.
right? You know, he took on this movie, and he's been around
Yeah,
some people.
he's been-
It's like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, because it's nutty.
It's so
that
nutty.
I get that. And what
Can we,
happened,
speaking of nutty, just
Yeah.
to make it a little bit more fun, is can you tell the boat story?
the boat story. I just told this. You know, I hadn't told it. I told it last night. You know, I meet new friends. They always want to hear the boat story. I'll give you the brief boat story, okay?
And the reason why I say this is we did have a text come in, and it actually said that it was said in the book, is the boat story 100% real, or has it been embellished for the book?
No, not at all. The boat story is public record. You can go Google it on. If you go back to I think it's July 30th or 27th. No, June 27th, 1997. The boat story is published. Oh, it's a very accurate story. The only thing that it's under embellished.
Yeah.
Simply because what happened was, in a lot of sections in the book were edited down and edited down. Everything in the book is 100% true.
All right, let's do the boat story. But before we go
real-
there, I just wanted to make the point that I was making before
Yeah.
about it, was that the way I see it was that a lot of the personal development, a lot of those things, they really can be used. You're a very good communicator. I would imagine that you use a lot of the NLP skills, for example, to build rapport. And you were doing that stuff way before you even knew what
I
it
don't
was.
use NLP for anything like that at
Right.
all, because I don't. NLP is showing you what you do automatic. I don't need to think in terms of NLP.
Yes.
I'll use NLP to help somebody else break through a problem they're having, or belief that they can't, that's holding them back. But for me, I don't know. Some people go around, they try to use NLP to get ahead. I don't believe it's made for that at all. And the fact why I went to see Bandler, just so you know, is he took my book. What he did is it's about modeling.
Yes.
And he said to me, he broke down my success. He goes, and he was the one that said, listen, I'm not going to take credit. He said to me, because you were doing these things, these 4 things that you did, and he distilled down my success to its elements.
Yes.
And that's what it allows me to share it with people, whether it's in 2 hours or in 2 days or in 2 months. I can give people the full, undiluted good, and also tell them what not to do.
And that's what I was going to,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people out there that can set, like, you know, there's a lot of personal development people, there's a lot of people out there pushing success, there's a lot of people that haven't had the heights that you've had,
Right.
but there's also a lot of people that, I don't know anybody that's had the lows that you went through.
That's still
and
alive.
And that's the part that interests me.
Yeah.
But I suppose the point that I wanted to make was that I see, you know, things like persuasion and NLP a bit like a knife, in that you can use it to make a beautiful meal for your family, to help someone, to you know, or you can use it to go hold up a liquor store.
Yeah.
And that's the point that I want to get across. Is for me, it's really important of having seen what's said on stage and what's written in books and what really goes on in people's lives are 2 completely different things. Yet you've got the most unique ability of anybody I know, because your shit's out there.
Right.
It's like the stuff that a lot of people hide because it's going to affect the book sales, or it's going to
Right.
affect
No, I put it out, yeah.
Yeah, look, you're already out there. It's like and then really you're almost like struggling to say, hang on, I've got a lot to, like, yes, I did all these crazy things, and we're going to hear about it, like the sinking of the boat, but I actually, behind it is incredible success. And that's the point that
I'll tell you, one of the things was, I have, you know, different seminars I give. So in the shorter seminars, they're always clamoring. I said, I'd love to tell you stories. I just don't have time, because I'm here because I want to help people get ahead and make changes, and the stories take up time. But I will tell you, the yacht story, there are some lessons to be learned.
Let's seed them in.
Okay? And I'll try to seed in some lessons here, okay? And I would say the first lesson was I had a really lousy making decision strategy, okay? For this whole yacht experience. It's a series of very bad decisions that all rolled up into, you know, a 11-day stint of madness. And it started off with the fact that I had a private jet at the time, and I was sharing it with somebody else. So it was in Europe. So I took a commercial plane, myself, my wife, and 3 other couples. So it was 8 of us in all. We landed in Italy, and when we got off at the baggage section, my limo driver forgot to put my wife's luggage on the plane, and she had no clothes. She was freaking out. She said, I got it. I said, no problem. And I was already stoned out of my mind. Now, you have to understand.
Now, you're stoned out of your mind on what? On lewds?
Lewds, cocaine, and like 5 other things. The drug addiction I had was so severe.
I know.
You know, listen.
So I said, in reading the book, I felt like I needed to go to drug house.
For those who don't know, for the benefit of your viewers who are normal, And haven't been addicted to lewds, thank God for them, right? You know, one lewd is enough to knock out a 220-pound Navy SEAL for 8.5 hours.
Wow.
I was taking 4 a day and walking around. 4 at a time walking around. That was because you get immune to them, right? So I was probably 4